Though most of the colors have faded out, most of these bright yellow trees are sugar maples or black maples. The one right here in the front here with the red leaves on the right, that one's a red maple. Though looking at the leaves, they look very similar to a mountain maple in the tree identification book that I was looking at. But being that we don't live in the mountains, I don't think it's a mountain maple. We have lots of younger sugar maples here. Some other tree must have died off and made lots of room for all these younger trees. However, there's a couple larger maples in the woods that I marked for making maple syrup. The three large ones I usually use are this one, and this one. Two are sugar maples and one is a black maple. So I sort of find it hard to tell apart the black maples and sugar maples, but you can tell them apart by the leaves and the bark, at least when the trees get older especially. These three are sugar maples, and you can tell they have sharper points and more points on them than the black maples do. I believe these two are black maple leaves, and you can tell they're kind of blunted off, not very many points on them, and they're not as sharp. These down here I think are the red maples, where you can see they have very fine sawtoothed edges on them, and that last one is just a popple leaf or cottonwood, whatever you might want to call it. What the leaves look like, however, also varies with how big the leaves are and how old the tree is. They kind of change as they develop. The other way to tell apart trees is by the bark. The black maples, it's got very dark bark on it, and it looks very similar to the sugar maple. I think this is another black maple. The sugar maple, however, has lighter, scalier bark. This one is a very large tree, but however you can kind of tell that the bark is lighter, a little flakier, not quite in such long stripes. And this one is a sugar maple. That I actually know for sure. And there's a better look at the black maple again. A little darker, a little longer bark. Not quite as flaky either. This part of the woods has lots of oak trees. It also used to have lots of ash trees, but as you can see it's kind of empty. We've been cutting down the dead ash trees. Most of them have died off, and then that makes room for more trees, whatever is fastest to grow into there, which is, you know, brush at first, and then maybe the maple trees. In the springtime, the whole ground is covered in small saplings, little bitty maple trees for the most part. There is one big maple tree right here. I'll have to go check whether it's a sugar maple or a black maple. The Back to Basics book says that trees should be at least 10 inches in diameter before tapping them. That way you don't hurt the tree. However, most of the sugar maples I've been finding are a bit smaller than that. Actually, upon closer inspection of this leaf from the tree, it's yellow, but I think it must be some other maple. It's definitely not a sugar or black maple. It's got jagged edges on it. There's no smooth swoops on the leaves and points, which is very distinctive of sugar and black maples, and also Norway maples, which they say are good for sugaring. I think we might have a few around here. Sadly, I only found 2 more sugar maples large enough to tap, but the good news is they're not far from the edge of the field. and I won't have to walk too far to get to them. I'm not sure what kind of shrub this is, but it's kind of pretty with all the little red berries on it. Here's that berry shrub again. This one has some very nice pinkish leaves on it. And I have actually seen this shrub before. It's got a weird sort of bark on it. It's kind of squarish almost, with little flaky ridges around it. I'm not sure if this is a red oak, but it's got a fairly nice rusty red sort of color.